Superintendent Blaine Conley and our Treasurer Jessica McFarland. We'll get started here. Upcoming board meetings. We got September 18th, 2017, special meeting at the Mentone Elementary at 7 o'clock. October 9th, 2017, regular meeting, Mentone Elementary, 7 p.m. November 13th, 2017, regular meeting, Mentone Elementary at 7 p.m. And December 11th, 2017, regular meeting, Mentone Elementary at 7 p.m. We'll go on with Spotlight on the Ballot.
Okay, thank you, Todd. We have two new employees tonight that we'd like to introduce. Welcome to Tippecanoe Valley. We'll ask you to approve them here in just a minute. But first of all, Krista Adams. Krista, would you stand? We'd like to welcome you. She is the new nurse here at Mentone Elementary School. And tell us a little bit about yourself, Krista.
My name is Krista, and for the last 10 years I've been working at KCH in the ICU and the med-surg units, and I'm really excited to be here. I was a bulldog, so this school means a lot to me, and I can't wait for this new picture.
And I believe in the back we have Brenda Anweiler, and Brenda is a new custodian here at Mentone. So welcome, Brenda, and what would you like to share with us tonight?
Happy to be here, happy to help. Happy mother of 6. All grown up and need something to do.
Well, welcome. We're glad you're here. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think that's
Any other?
I believe that's it.
No others. Okay. Items from the visitors. At this time, if anyone from the visitors has anything to bring to us, now's the time. Everybody's pretty quiet tonight. Okay, we'll go on to approval of consent agenda. Number 1, approve the minutes of the August 10th, 2017 executive session. Number 2, approve the minutes of the August 14th, 2017 regular meeting. And number 3, approve minutes of the August 21st, 2017 budget workshop. Number 4, approve the hiring of the following personnel: Gina Campbell, health aide, Mentone Elementary; Krista Adams, nurse, Mentone Elementary; Brenda Anweiler, custodian, Mentone Elementary; Dolores Dague, cook at Mentone Elementary; Tina Carter, instructional assistant, Mentone Elementary; Allison Pfeffenbach, instructional assistant at Akron Elementary; Kelsey Engel, instructional assistant at Akron Elementary; Tanya Engel, instructional assistant at Akron Elementary; Rosie Jansma, kindergarten teacher at Akron Elementary; and Raquel Hendricks, instructional assistant at the high school. Number 5, approve the following extracurricular assignments: Greg Prater, boys head baseball coach for the high school. Number 6, accept the resignation of the following personnel: Travis Adams, assistant bus mechanic for the school corporation; Josephina Jimenez, custodian, Akron Elementary; Peggy McQuinn, instructional assistant at the middle school; Elsa Oswald, custodian at the Mentone Elementary; Jamie Hargrove, nurse, Mentone Elementary; Hillary Parker, spell coach, Akron Elementary; Melanie Rockhill, 6th grade girls basketball coach for the middle school; Haley Cooper, 6th grade girls basketball coach for the middle school also. Number 7, approve the maternity leaves for the following personnel: Katarina Williams, math and English teacher at the high school; Precious Francis, math teacher, at the middle school, and Carissa Cody, first grade teacher, Minto Elementary. Is there anything, fellows, that you want to pull out and discuss? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion, Todd, as read.
Stan makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Adam seconds it. All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Move on to approval of claims and payroll.
Okay, thank you, Todd. We have one pre-written claim listing this evening. It's dated August 31 of 2017. It's in the amount of $679,898.03. Our regular claim listing is dated September 11th of 2017. It's in the amount of $183,396.21. And we have two payrolls this evening. The first is dated August 4th, 2017, in the amount of $337,095.46. The second is dated August 18th, 2017, in the amount of $329,899.17. I submit these claims and payroll for.
Thanks, Brett. Is there anything we need to pull out of there and discuss, or okay on that, or do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the claims and payroll presented.
Brian makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Aaron seconds. All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
We're on to financial report.
Okay, you have the reconciled bank statement and monthly financial report of funds for August 2017. Here's a summary of our receipts and disbursements. Total receipts for all funds, $1,390,402.85. And our total disbursements for all funds, $1,805,327.05.
Thank you, Brett. On to old business. Number one, update on the Akron Elementary School project.
Good evening.
Derek?
It's been a quite busy month. We got started, now the school's back in session. We were able to start working on the locker room addition area over there on the, right off the side of the gym. We were able to get the masonry walls all completed for bearing, so now the steel is in the process of being set. They put in some precast and brick around the perimeter as well. We're gonna be able to start roofing here in the next week or so we'll get that whole area in to dry. We'll start working on some of the interior work. Start with the mechanicals, electricals, probably get some painting going. Once we get closer to finishing up around the heavy work around the outside, probably in the next 3 weeks or so, we're gonna start getting ready to start paving. So we'll get that lot paved and the rest of that sidewalk finished up. We were able to complete the pond back there, that riprap and fabric. So that turned out real nice. Hopefully that does its job and lasts a while. Playground, you can see the basketball hoops are in. Got the air hard surface down for them to play on. Oh, that's the playground. New playground, soft area. We got the stone down for that. We're in the process of working with the school's vendor to get the equipment set. So I'm assuming that's gonna happen here in the next maybe 2 or 3 weeks.
Maybe a little longer than that, probably 4 to 6 at least.
4 or 6. So we'll leave it set. Once they get their stuff installed, then we'll come back in and put the timbers around and fill it up with 6 inches of rubber mulch. That's just an area of parking lot. We got it all stoned in, ready for paving. So once we get done with the lifts, the walls running around, heavy equipment, we'll put the paving down and put up quite a bit more parking for everybody. Part of the project was we had to go around and refinish the top band around the existing building that remained. So that's all been done, recoated, repainted. It's a brand new job again. Yeah, there's some of that precast up there. That area's a little tricky. We had to get those big pieces up before we can get the steel set on that canopy on the outside, or else they would never be able to get in there. So that's all finished up. That steel's in the process. Again, that's the entryway again, brick and precast. It's quite a big entryway right there. It's gonna be real nice once we're finished with that spot and turn that over. You're gonna have a nice big area to drop kids off. A bit of shelter for them. Inside of the existing building, all the classrooms are got most of the grid done in all the rooms we can right now. Light fixtures are going in, trim's going in, units are set. We got about another month in there for fall break, and we'll start turning those areas over. We ran into a little hiccup with some paint. We're working through that now. The existing classrooms, some of the paint has been failing over the years, so we got a few options we're reviewing, trying to see what the best way is to tackle that. So you guys have a nice finished product at the end.
So it isn't new paint going over the old that didn't adhere, it's just flat out the old paint?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly, it looks like there's probably been the original paint, and maybe there's some additional coats put on over the years. And that right there is just either the existing paint didn't really have the right bond to it, or something with that new paint that was put on afterwards. It's just, I've never seen anything like it before. And it's just spiders, and you just take your finger across the joints, and it just cracks. So we got some options we're looking at, hopefully here in the next week or so. Let's have a better game plan on that, and how to address that. We got most of the heavy demo done in those existing restrooms. If you remember, there was 2 smaller sections that were in that little corner. Now we've got all that, so now we're gonna have 2 bigger restrooms in there, just like the rest of the buildings, restrooms in the building around the school. Schedule-wise, yeah, we had that little hiccup right now with the paint, but it's one thing we can always do, towards the end as well. So things are tracking, finishing up phase 1 of the existing building, fall break. Another good-sized move taking place. So there'll be some more jockeying around the classrooms, so it'll take over the rest of the classrooms that are there, which will be starting probably right after the next board meeting in October. A little bit ways down the road, once we're able to get that done, the gym will get emptied out, so we'll start putting basketball goals, equipment in there, light fixtures, and start hitting the floor and the equipment. Any questions, concerns, comments?
I had a parent ask me about the number of stalls in the restrooms. Is there just one per restroom?
No.
Okay.
There's, some of the kindergarten rooms have an individual restroom in them.
Okay.
But then there's one bigger restroom in the new classroom wing. I think there's probably 5 or 6 stalls.
In the boys' restroom?
Huh?
Because I heard the same thing. The boys' restroom only had 1 toilet and 3 urinals.
You do?
There was questions about why only 1
Right.
toilet. And I didn't know.
The girls have more than the boys.
Right, the girls don't have any urinals.
No.
I don't know why there's one toilet in there. That'd be something we'd have to ask Bart Poe. I know there's code requirements based on occupancy levels, how many fixtures you're supposed to have per section or square footage. Usually the boys would have a couple more.
But I think they took an effect that the kindergarten had restrooms.
It could be that, so.
Yeah.
The first and second grades here. 3 units of first, 3 units of second grade. I don't like it.
So with the new layout that we're gonna have in those existing restrooms, I'm not quite sure how many fixtures are there, but I think there's gonna be quite a bit more on this end of that than the existing building is.
Any other questions?
Okay,
More
decent
job.
job.
All right, thanks, have a good night.
Okay, number 2, discussion, school board on naming the TVHS football field. Do you have any more to, go ahead.
Well, I mean, the policy states that we'll discuss this in 3 different board meetings. We did last week, Thursday night, this is number 2. And then next week will be the third opportunity for the board to discuss it, as well as comments from the public. And then next Monday night, the board will actually vote on this. So, I guess, open up to the board tonight. If you guys have any comments you'd like to say.
I was at the game Friday night, of course, actually asked a lot of folks, and people came up to me besides that. And most of them, like two or three. And most of them liked that too. I had a couple like Smith, but I said stadium, it's not really a stadium.
Right.
But the majority of them, probably 90% like number two. That I had come to know.
Any comment from folks in the public in regard to that?
Brett, yeah, I know there's been a lot of controversy on Death Valley over the past few years, but that had nothing to do with what happened to a lot of these young people. But Death Valley Memorial Field, I think that is very appropriate because Charlie Smith gave it that name. Scott Bibler played on that field, won a sectional at Valley. Scott Smith played on that field. And I think, in my own personal opinion, Death Valley Memorial Field would be ideal for our corporation.
Man, I couldn't believe how many we have sent in.
183 total.
183 names, and what, I'm gonna say 80–90% of it has something with Smith, Bibler, Field, Memorial, all in it. So I think that told us, you know, that, okay, if there's nothing else, we'll move on. So, takes care of old business, now new business.
We're going to new business.
Yes.
We do have another employee, Coach Prater's here that wasn't
Oh, I'm
recognized.
sorry.
Oh, yeah.
So make sure we get him the recognition.
Yeah.
Coach Prater, you got anything to say?
You're wanting to talk, aren't you?
I am now. No, I really appreciate it. I love the opportunity that I've been given here. I intend to do my absolute best. We got a great group of young men that I'm going to be able to coach. And of course, I got some great help here beside me that's helped me for 3 years. Looking forward to it. And again, thank you guys very much.
I apologize for missing you there, Greg.
That's okay.
Sorry.
You bet. Good deal. On to new business. Presentation of the 2017-18 school improvement plans.
Yes, it's that time of year that the Indiana Department of Education asks our schools to develop school improvement plans for the current school year. These actually, I think, have to be submitted by Friday, right?
Yeah,
That's the
yes,
date.
Friday.
So I've asked each of our principals to come and go through those with you this evening. So Mrs. Mills, looks like you're ready.
The beginning part of our plan, if you look, there's not a lot that's changed. Our enrollment has increased. In fact, it increased one more today. So at the end of, in May, when we ended, I was at 356 students. And today I'm at 385. So yes, Akron has increased enrollment this year. And we had another student come today from Houston, so second grader. And so other than that, data piece has changed because we did have new ISTEP results, but my other stuff really hasn't changed a lot. So if we go clear towards the bottom, Brett. Here it comes to go right there. Just going over data with my staff, we're looking at, this is our reading data, or these are my reading goals for this coming year, and just wanting to still increase that performance. And what I looked at was where we were a little bit lower in our ISTEP data, and want to increase those skills. So I have 2 goals, one for reading and one for writing. And with our reading goal, we're going to really focus on nonfiction and the vocabulary, and really pushing that skill with our students to improve those ISTEP tests. And listed there, you can see some current level of performance and where I want to be by next August when we get that next data piece back. We do have the test that company that we took, which is iReady, has nothing to do with the state, that's just our other assessment that we're taking. And the data trend there is moving up. It also gives us Lexile, and our Lexiles are looking really good in reading also. And so we're moving in that right direction in that reading percentage. Then in writing, we want to continue moving that and getting some authentic pieces, letting kids be able to choose their topics and write about those, and we just not telling them what to write about. So getting a lot of authentic writing going and improve those scores there. So those are my two goals here in math, and we do that by our workshop model. We have a 90-minute reading block that we do in the mornings for K3, and then 4 and 5 are there later in the morning. K3 starts right away with their reading block, and 4 and 5 is a little bit later in the morning. And we're doing workshop, and you guys can all come in and watch that at either building. Randy and I are very similar in everything that we do. And then just using our iReady data on a consistent basis. Our students just, they're still taking that assessment and giving us updated information where they're at right now. They'll take that assessment again in the mid-year, December, January timeframe, and then again at the end of the year. So we do that assessment 3 times to make sure that we're moving in there, and then we're able to do our interventions from that test. And then in math, we have 2 goals there that I looked at data again to see where we were performing lower in, and clear across the board, it's math computation. So we're looking at that. How can we improve that by looking at our curriculum maps and then our current iReady testing and increasing those scores by August of 2018. And then also mathematical process, which is being able to write and tell why you have that math problem. How did you get the answer? And so that's a new part of the ISTEP this past year, is that mathematical process and grading that. So that's an area where we were weaker in, and we need to really look at that data and teaching our kids that, okay, 2 + 2 is 4, but why and how did you get that answer? And being able to write that out. So those are things that we'll work at for our math also. So that's where Akron's heading this school year with our goals. We're doing a lot of professional development for math. Coming in, we do some things called number talks. I have a lot of new staff members, and over the last couple of years, and just refreshing, they have been taught that, and just refreshing the staff members that maybe learned about number talks several years ago, 7, 8 years ago. And so coming in, we're having some PDs start here in a couple weeks on just refresher on those that way of teaching is with number talks and getting them to learn their facts and things like that. So just getting that PD and refreshing the teachers that have had this and teaching the new teachers these skills. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Mills. Mr. Dobbs.
Hi, good evening. Over in Mentone and things, we've got data the state's put out even that is even newer than this plan and things. I'm just going to go ahead and speak off the cuff here a little bit. Talking about what we're doing at Mentone and things. We're really this year focused on 3 things. I almost call it a triangle. Because you don't want to focus on too much in an organization, because then you don't get a lot done. And so what we're looking at specifically is Project Lead the Way. That's something Chrissy's doing at Akron as well. And in Project Lead the Way, it's really about hands-on science and really gearing our science curriculum really in a good hands-on model and higher level thinking model. So that's one of the things we're working on. The other thing, and Akron's mirroring us in this as well, and we just had training this last week in peer-to-peer observations. So many times it feels like in the education world, if a teacher's struggling, you ask them to go see somebody who's really, really effective. And what we're saying is, why not see just, why leave it to people who might be struggling? Let's do it all. Let's have really effective teachers, watch really effective teachers, and get really, really good ideas on how to refine our skills and our pedagogy and practice. And so Mrs. Mills and I set up a peer-to-peer training and things. Our coaches did all the legwork in it and things. And so we're really looking at peer-to-peer observations. Sometimes the best PD is not in Indy. It's 20 feet away with a teacher across the hall from you. And back in the Stone Ages when I taught, I always heard that some teachers were good, but I never knew why. And this is about setting up and establishing an atmosphere where people can watch the good practice of each other and sharpen their skills. And then the biggest bullseye in our triangle would be our PLC process. It's all about deciding what is the most essential information to teach, and then really digging into that, assessing students and monitoring their progress and their growth, and continuing to go back and ensure really good levels of learning. And so those are the three main, what I would say, three main points at Mentone. Now we do have some other items that are really cool too. We're introducing and launching family groups. We'll be doing that at the end of September, or once a month. Our students are going to do things like paint pumpkins and do all kinds of different things like that, make Christmas cards. And it's going to be really neat. We're setting our kids up into family groups. And so our 4th and 5th graders will lead those groups and things. And the neat thing about families is we'll start it this year, and when our 5th graders leave us, when they go to the middle school, they're going to keep the same family, except we're going to have our new kindergartners come in and join those families. And so what you start seeing is kids really get to know each other. And we're looking at in developing this different skills that we want students to learn, things like empathy, compassion, responsibility, and having kids help teach each other those things and really enhancing our leadership of our 4th and 5th graders. So we're launching that at the end of September here. And then our leadership team actually met this morning, and we decided to really focus in on a couple of things. In math, we're looking at computation. For example, in 3rd grade, our 3rd graders know their multiplication facts when they leave 3rd grade. So why is it over a summer that some of them forget some of those facts and things? So we're looking at how can we do things instructionally to really build that into long-term memory and things. And so we're looking at some of our practice in computation. Also, we're looking at vocabulary and reading. It's amazing that a lot of kids anymore, they have their devices and things, but to really expand their vocabulary, and how do we really teach vocabulary well? And so we're looking at ways to really increase our effectiveness in teaching vocabulary, and we think that will really help our reading as well. So those are just a few of the things, got a lot of good things going, and those things are some of the most recent things here at Mentone that we're doing. So any questions at all? Okay. Thank you guys, appreciate it.
We've got a 40-some page document, so I'm not going to hit on a ton of things, but I want to just talk on a couple of the highlights. The first thing is that starting last year, we went to the Alex Math Supplemental Program for all kids in the building. And so what Alex is, it's an online remediation piece that we use in addition to regular math curriculum to help kids bridge gaps and skills that they struggle with. It's supplemental and it's driven based on a kid's level. So if a kid's struggling in certain areas, they're going to go work on those areas with Alex. So it helps us meet kind of a one-to-one need of kids too. We saw some pretty amazing math improvement as far as growth goes on our test scores this year coming in with that. So we're excited about that being one piece. Our math staff's been working really hard to try to show some increases. And we saw some increases in math with ISTEP this year. Scores are still in bargain, so I really can't go into that right now. The one thing I do want to talk about, though, is our advisory period. This is the biggest change. Right, if you scroll down to the section at the bottom where the blue boxes are. And if you can find the one that says advisory and just leave that one up. So, right there. We had an 8-period schedule last year with a study hall. This year, coming in, we took that study hall out of the period. We increased class time on a 7-period schedule, and we've put every kid in an advisory period, which means they're with a teacher for a ton of different things. It's kind of study hall, but it's a time period where we're doing Alex Math, we're doing silent sustained reading, they can do homework. We're pulling all of our RTI intervention out of advisory. So we're looking at last year's ISTEP scores right now. We're pulling kids that are within 10 to 20 points of the pass range, and we're working on the skills they missed. We're pulling our English language learners out for their remediation during that time. And in general, we're giving kids a small group with a mentor teacher that's supervising them, studying every day, providing support, providing help. And it's a much more targeted intervention to try to reach some of the skills that we're seeing as struggles with our kids. Another thing that we're going to use to couple with advisory is NWEA. We've adopted that test this year. We've thrown out Acuity. Acuity was not giving us good data. We take our first round of NWEA here at the end of the week, and we're hoping to get some really drilled down good data on the skills our kids have and the skills they're lacking, so that we can use that information and help us drive the improvement better. Really disappointed with the lack of that information we got out of Acuity the last year and a half or so. As soon as the state went away from supporting that McGraw-Hill test, that test went downhill in a hurry and didn't give us a lot of good information. So we're excited to be jumping into a piece that's going to give us some information and drive some of the things we need to do to support kids. One of the biggest keys for our building is Stacy Revere, our academic coach. It's a huge piece to have her in the building, working with teachers directly in the classroom, helping them get better in instruction, helping them interpret data, helping them design assessments to be able to make sure that kids are doing well. You know, if I was going to throw out a key to the improvement we've seen in our building over the last couple of years, she's a very big part of that. So anything we can do to keep that position and keep her rolling, that's critical. And then, you know, we're looking at getting to the end of the week and being about 7 students above our enrollment projection coming in this year. So we've seen an enrollment bump, which is nice. You know, and there's tons of data in here. I'm not going to go over all that. What I gave you guys is just a bit of a comparison. And again, starting media, it's an ISTEP information thing that's still embargoed, I'm sure of that. But what I want you to look at is the very bottom of the left-hand column. The state average on middle school, okay, pass rate, and this is on the DOE, is 51.4%. For kids in middle school passing both English and language arts, that's the state average. Okay.
Math and language arts.
That's, yeah, what I say, English and language arts, math and language arts combined. So that would be taking every kid in your building and the percentage of kids who passed both. Again, state average is 51.4%. So the state's giving us a test that 50% of the kids are failing every year. Okay? So as you look at scores and things as they come out and you look at that page and compare, keep that in mind. Okay? It's a hard thing for us to do to meet a bar that's set right now at 51% success rate statewide. Okay? And so you can kind of see, just looking at that, where we feel like we stack up in the area, but you know, that's the battle we're fighting on a yearly basis. I don't care what our letter grade comes out as. I don't think we're a C school at the middle school. I definitely don't think we're a D and an F school. We work hard for kids. Our teachers put a lot of time in. Okay, they're vested. They work hard through the PLC process. The amount of time my staff put in over the summer just getting ready for this year is very commendable to my staff. So, you know, it's frustrating to get labeled on a one-week test. Okay. But I want you guys to understand that what goes on in our school is a lot of people that care about, a lot of kids that work really hard, regardless of what happens over the next few weeks when the scores come out. So, any questions?
Thanks for your leadership. Good job, Scott.
This data that you showed us though, I mean, there was only one school out of however many there was that scored above the state average.
On what I put on that list, just some area schools and some
Right.
comparisons.
So I mean, how do they come up with 51%?
It's every kid, and I mean, you're talking all of the schools that have to take ISTEP.
I mean, we're talking.
We're talking every kid in the state who took the test, and every kid who passed both. So you're throwing every kid in there. I mean, you've got big schools in suburban areas that are pulling 70 and 80% on this. They have no poverty rate, they have no limitations. And so, yeah, I mean, what you've got is just a comparison of some people in our area and some similar school
That's what I'm
demographics.
saying. We're in the top percentage of our area.
Right.
But I mean, even then, when I hit the state average, and you're looking at all these schools, it's like, there's some schools out there that, like you said, and that's, I guess that's what I want to emphasize, is there's some schools that don't have the poverty we have. Some of the private schools that you can choose.
The main thing I gave you that for is I want you to understand that we're working just as hard as everybody else around here, regardless of what it looks like. When the letter gets posted, you know, we're competing with the people that are in our area and working hard to do better if possible.
Thank you.
We all have data that we cannot share right at the moment, but that is showing that we are above state average in many areas on that test.
I think it's important too to remember that the test now is a mastery test, which is 80% to pass. That's a big difference than the test used to be. You know, there's no 60% get your D, get out, those days are gone. It's the 80% mastery test, which, you know, if you all of a sudden go from 60 to 80, well, your percentage of people that will pass is a huge, huge amount.
The test will be the same again this coming year, and then it will change again for the 18-19 school year. It'll be called I-Learn instead of I-STEM. And we don't know what that looks like yet. It's handwritten.
Frustration.
Mr. Craig?
Yeah, for me, really, page 7 is all you really need to look at, and it's you know, certainly a really exciting time at the high school for me. I'm being my first year as principal, but just what a great staff we have, and just great kids, and just really impressed. And it's pretty obvious we met as a school improvement team as to really the 3 areas we kind of targeted, and certainly that's raising our I-STEP math scores would be one, raising our I-STEP English scores would be another. And then our really third focus is really creating a pathway and organizing the way we're looking at our AP dual credit program. As far as raising the English and math scores, right now we're, for the really the first time in a long time, and there's not too many secondary schools that are doing this right now, is we're really immersed into response to intervention or an RTI program. You see this a lot in elementary schools, you see it in middle schools, and it's just good practice. Unfortunately, a lot of times when we get to the high school, you kind of work on a waiting to fail, and then we're going to do something. And what we have is we have a lot of data that's showing, hey, our kids are not doing so very well in certain areas. So what we're doing is we've got it set up during the school day. So 3 times a week, kids that are needed are getting math help, math remediation, or some type of intervention. 3 times a week, they're getting English. And what might be really surprising to you is students that need both in our school is somewhere around 200. Right, and that means pretty much most of your seniors wouldn't be involved in that number, and half of your freshmen. So again, we got that data based on their NWA scores, which is new data this year for the first time. Really appreciate Mr. Backus also having that at the middle school, so we'll really be able to see trends as the years go on, which is huge just to be able to compare growth, because for most kids, you have their 8th grade I-STEP scores, and then you'll take it as a freshman, and then again as a sophomore. So NWA really provides a very strategic way to have data-driven instruction. So that's a big key. So the whole RTI implementation at the high school is just huge. And again, I can't say enough to our teachers. They've really bought in. We have non-content area teachers helping with math and English, and they're just doing an outstanding job. And if you ever want to come by, come and check it out in an afternoon on any day of the week. It's really awesome to see. And I just couldn't say enough of it. As far as our third goal with just really aligning our dual credit and AP, we do a fairly good job with dual credit. Honestly, AP, we're a little bit behind. But the one thing about dual credit that we have is because we have great teachers and everybody wanted to teach dual credit, we kind of splintered off everywhere. There's no real organization or rhyme or reason as to what you take when or how you take it. We have dual credit through Grace, through IPFW, IUSB, Ivy Tech Lafayette, Ivy Tech Warsaw, Ivy Tech, and it's everywhere. And so what we're going to do is really have it aligned. And so next year, to where a student really understands kind of a pathway to take. If they're a college prep student, they're looking to have those dual credit opportunities and really have it aligned for them so they can see, okay, as a sophomore I'm doing this, a junior I'm doing this, a senior I'm doing this. And it really looks like we should have it in place, and we have the teachers, which is something a lot of high schools don't have, because to be able to teach dual credit, you have to have the proper licensure and transcripts, and we have several of those teachers, which is great. But now we just need to really get a proper pathway. We can become very close, it looks like, and I hope to be able to report to you here soon, that we could have a student go through high school and have their entire freshman year, basically their whole undergrad freshman year, done and cost them nothing. So it's a really exciting time, and we have the staff to do it. We got to really push that and just give it a line. Again, it's nothing anybody did wrong. It's just we all kind of went our separate ways. So we're really going to bring that together, make it happen, and really excited. I know we're going to see some growth in both our math and our English high step scores with all the RTI programs going on, and just how much the teachers are bought in, and because they're bought in and doing a great job, the kids are bought in and doing a great job. So it's a really exciting time at the high school, and we're excited to see those areas grow.
Presenting the Raptor system tonight, Scott?
I believe so. All right, so about a year ago, through the school Homeland Security Safety Grant, the safety team sat down and just talked about what our next step is in increasing safety with kids at school. About 4 years ago, we did reconstruction of the entryways at all the buildings to secure the entryways, to be able to bring people in directly to the office in all the buildings so that we have that layer of protection. The next thing we wanted to begin talking about was using a scan-in visitor system. A lot of our neighboring schools use systems similar to this, and other places that we've gone for professional development. It's been the same. And so we researched some different companies, and we came up with what we felt was a good fit for us. It's called Raptor. And so what Raptor is it's a computer kiosk system in the office that when you come in and you're going to go into the student population of our building, okay, not you're coming to drop shoes off, or you're coming to pick your kid up for a doctor's appointment, but you're actually going out of the office, out with the kids in the building. You drop the driver's license in a scanner. It's going to do a quick check of several databases to make sure that you're not somebody that's a risk to our kids, and it's going to print a visitor badge out for you. Put the badge on, and you go out into the school system. Again, we're not using this after school. We're not using this for just your normal visit to the office type of thing. This is going to be a way to make sure we're protecting kids if we have somebody that's going into the student population. Maybe you're coming to have lunch with your kid. Maybe you're mentoring some kids in the media center. Maybe you're working as a parent helper in a classroom, any sort of thing like that. We're going to do that quick scan and then let you go out and do your thing with that badge on. Once you scan the license the first time, all you got to do when you walk in next time is just scan the barcode on the back of it, and it's going to print you a tag and you go. So it's really a pretty quick process. I know at the middle school, I had my secretary's keep count. We had 10 people over a week and a half period that actually had to use the system to go out in with the kids. So we're not talking about a heavy volume for us. I'm not real sure elementary-wise what you guys are looking at.
It's higher than that, but it's big.
But you're going to have a few more parents coming into your classrooms probably than we see at the secondary level. But the goal is that we're able to just have another layer of security and make sure that we're protecting the kids in the building. So you guys had the opportunity to run through it, practice it. It's not a real difficult process. The secretaries are all trained in how to assist people with it. So did you guys have any questions or concerns when you ran through that?
Would, for instance, we get to the end of the day and we want to look back at who stopped in the morning.
There is a database there. We can pull up anybody who scanned in. Actually, I believe we can pull up anybody who scanned in district-wide. The other thing that's nice about Raptor is if we have a situation where we have to restrict somebody from the grounds for something, we can input that directly into the system, and we can restrict them from all campus buildings from one side. So we have the ability not only to monitor those databases, but we also have the ability to set up our own monitoring list if we have people that we're concerned about having them come into the school.
Probably.
Even if we just want a red flag of somebody that has been an issue, just to make sure that we need to escort them through the building for something. I mean, we can tag things like that, and our secretaries will see it when it comes up, so.
Probably use this as much for vendors, what you got is for.
Yes. Yeah. For us, the majority of our vendors are coming right in the office, dropping things off and meeting with people in the office, and they're out the door. But if we have people that are going out into the school to work during the day while kids are in classes, they're gonna be in contact with the kids, we're running them through that system.
And is this system gonna report who hasn't scanned out? I mean, like, you
Yeah,
know,
at the
I
end of the
scan
day,
in
we-
and I leave and I forget to scan out, I just leave. So I'm gonna send you a
Yeah.
report saying, Brian Murphy didn't scan out, so the next time we're
At the end of the
call,
day,
you say,
yeah.
hey, dude,
Yes.
scan out or you're not coming in.
Well, and I believe our secretaries have the ability, if they see somebody leave, they can actually go in. and-
We're thinking of keeping their driver's license so that they have to come back, like, yeah, because the way our building is set up now, you know, there's two, you can get out either coming through the office or the one door goes out. So Samantha and I talked today, and she said, you know, I'm really thinking about when they hand me their license, keeping it. Or,
Like what he was saying, was once you've been in the system,
but
though,
she thought she would ask for it, so they could check in that she's
To
saying.
to leave, they just scan out.
right, but I mean, you were saying though, after you've been put in the system, if I wanna come, I
Right.
can scan in right there at the kiosk, get my, put it on.
But you still have to go through the office to do that. And for us, the kiosk is on Mrs. Miller's desk, and so she's gonna see everybody coming in, coming out, and it's, I mean, it's the same with the high school, it's right in front of.
But I mean, if you
Mrs.
wanna do that, wouldn't it be better not to have that kiosk out there so that they always have to give their license to Sam or your office staff, so that you have to give it back instead of asking for it?
I think we're doing a lot of just basic trial and error on this stuff as we get going, just to, there's recommendations. I mean, we researched other schools, and we built our plan based on, number one, what we felt was necessary for us, and number two, off some feedback we got from some other administrators. And so, yeah, there's little contingencies like this we gotta talk about. The one thing that's a little different is, you know, this system was really set up for a school that has a secretary sitting at a desk by a glass window at the front door, where they can just hand it through the window, you scan them in, you hand it out. Well, none of our buildings were built that way. So we have to be able to bring people at least into the front office to have them run that system, because that's the way that we're set up. So it does have, you know, if we have somebody come in that is red flag, it's not telling them on the screen, but it is notifying the secretary, and, you know, the protocol is they'll get a hold of one of us and have that conversation and go from there. So there's also an emergency button on it. So if there would be something major going on that we need help immediately, there's a quiet emergency button that also will allow us to contact Mr. Owens directly. That's an issue too, so.
Is this up and running in all the schools now?
It is up, and we kind of have been waiting on this meeting to basically make it an official, we're doing it, but, you know, we wanted to make sure that the board was aware, it was presented here, you guys got to run through the process, and then we got some information out to the media before we just, you know, kind of started checking everybody. So it's set up and it's ready to go in all the buildings right now. And we have all been using it for a purpose, but we haven't really had it announced because we haven't shared the information, so.
Mr. Lee, you're putting something together that you were working hard to see. something together.
There's a news release that'll go out either tonight or tomorrow. RTC was at the high school today, and we're gonna filmed a kind of like a how-to walkthrough video for parents that we'll share on the website, and we'll put that on social media as well.
You know, and the question came up, we have people from Bowen in the building all the time. They're vetted by Bowen and they come into us with ID tags. Okay, so we're not running them through the system all the time because they're a licensed ID person that we know is in the building and they're certified by their business to be there. we know who those Bowen reps are. If it was somebody new we didn't recognize, we would make sure that we're checking that. But high school kids that come over to do internships, what else, our instructional assistants. I mean, anybody that's in our building frequently, we might either just issue them a regular school identification tag, okay? Or they're gonna wear their business identification tag that's verified by us before they start, so that they don't have to run that system every time they come in and out of the building. It is the purpose of the wrappers for people that are visiting, that are going into the student population. That's the purpose of why we have this, okay?
We do have a letter that we're sending out to schools that's gonna go home to families, so they have some kind of mention of what's going on. So that'll go out to the schools tomorrow, and they'll get it to their people, and kind of change it as they need to as appropriate for elementary. So as they kind of have it, a little more awareness, so everybody's kind of around there.
Another layer of protection, it's good.
The $8,000 figure is that just your portion, or was that part of the grant?
The dollar figure was $8,200, our portion was $4,100.
It's a 50-50 split with the state Homeland Security grant.
So Tippecanoe Valley's paying
4,100.
4,100.
Thank you.
Well, you know, it's like we always say, the school safety committee knows. If I text one kid from somebody coming in doing something wrong, 4,100 is not a lot of money to spend on that. So I think it's a good investment. I think it's a good piece for us.
I think the idea that you have a way to contact, the secretary has a way to contact multiple people kind of simultaneously and automatically is a big tool that's nice for us. Instead of a panic button, if she hits that emergency, it goes automatically to Officer Owens, goes automatically to the administration in her building, so right away they know something's going on. So if a parent is, you know, struggling with themselves and that's a way to contact somebody as opposed to picking up a phone and having that person listen to them say, hey, you know, we need your help with this person. So it's a nice way, it's a nice tool for them to use also.
Mr. Hunt, Mr. Backus, appreciate the time that you guys have put into this. I know you look at several different systems, determine what's best for us, and put quite a bit of time into planning how to roll this out in our schools. So, but it's a good thing.
I did a lot of talking, John did a lot of the legwork, so he put a lot of time in.
Bottom line is, help us keep our kids safe.
Thank you, guys.
I appreciate it. Okay. Next, we would like to invite everyone to an open house for Don Rowland. Our school corporation secretary is retiring, and we know when. And
Well, she's retiring after 27 years of service. It's official October the 1st. We're going to have the open house retirement celebration for her on the 25th of September, which is a Monday, from 4 to 6, and it will be at Akron Elementary School in their cafeteria. So I'd like to invite the public to come and thank Dawn for her years of service and wish her the best as she moves on to the next thing in life.
all right, number 4, we're on to budget hearing.
Yes, if you remember, back August the 21st, we had a budget work session. We went through the 2018 budget. At that evening, you gave us permission to go ahead and advertise that budget, which has been done according to state law. Tonight is the budget hearing, where we'll open it up to the public for any questions that they may have. And then we'll come back to you here on October the 9th and ask the board to adopt the budget at that time. At this point, if we have anybody with any questions about the budget now, it would be the opportunity to pose those questions.
Okay, good deal. Bryce from the high school, what's going on out at the Valley?
Well, we had a couple different things. We had the distinguished alumni come in, which is really good. I like hearing from them, hearing some things that they've done in their life that they've enjoyed. Also, if you haven't noticed, we moved the cheer block behind the end zone, which is giving the opposing team some intimidation, and we've seen a better like turnout in kids there too to support our team. Also, we have the blood drive coming this Friday, and if you don't know, homecoming starts Monday, which will have a bunch of different things going on at the high school, and also we've still been having remediation, which we've been seeing kids improve on that with the math and English for the ISO that we take. So that's all that's been going on.
Report. Well, I believe if there's nothing else, we're adjourned here this evening. Thank you.